This is the second video. We're going to use the same spreadsheet we used to do some computation, and we're going to use the data where we calculated densities, all right, to do some plotting. And we want to plot the mass as a function of volume. So we're going to plot these three columns of mass versus the volume, okay, and do a regression, look at how good it is, okay, and do a few simple, easy things. Okay, so what I want to do, okay, to do a graph, okay, is I want to highlight, okay, my data to plot, and notice I included the thing in Google is if you have a column of data and you highlight the labels in the column above, as long as the labels are only in one cell. In other words, if you had longer labels and they were in 3 and 4 and you highlighted 3 and 4, Google, even Excel gets confused. If you have long or a lot of words that you need 2 cells, merge the 2 cells together and it'll only count as 1. Okay? So I've highlighted that. The other thing when you do a graph, since I've highlighted, it will do some labeling on the graph. Okay, so I'm going to plot mass versus volume. I'm going to go up here to the chart editor and click on it. It's going to do some thinking. And okay. I'll tell you firsthand, it does not do very well usually picking the type of chart. Okay, so I'm going to open the menu and I'm going to scroll down, and if I wish you could default the chart used, because 99 times out of 100 you're going to do a scattered plot. Okay, and there it is. It tells you as the x-axis, it used the volume. Here are my mass A, mass B, mass C in grams that I have plotted. Okay, it puts a legend in, automatically puts a legend if you have multiple lines plotted. Why you would need a legend if you only had one line, and that's the logic it uses. I'm going to move that over a little bit. Okay, now after I said, well, I get partly what confuses it. It had 3 things to plot, so it gets confused what to label over here, and I guess it decided to get confused what to plot the volume down there. Okay, this should be my 2.3, and if I scroll over one of them and gently click on it, it might nicely tell me what that point is. It's messing with my, okay. So it highlighted, okay, one of the data sets. And the first thing I would do, if you go over here, here are your series, okay, and I'm going to do a couple of things here. I'm going to actually apply to all series, okay. I want linear regressions on each data set, okay. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit and select trend line. When I do, I want a linear regression. I'm going to darken the line that it plots just because I like a darker line. It'll pick the lines to be the same color as the data. Okay, now I'm going to cursor up and I'm going to go back, okay, because here's something to think about. The 3 colors automatically, and especially with the labels, and we'll put axes labels on in just a second, the 3 colors, clearly you can pick the blue, the red, and the golden, or whatever it is, easily. But if you were to print this in black and white, you may not be able to tell which is which. So what I would suggest is changing the symbols, okay, on, let's go and let's change the red symbols to triangles. I'm going to leave the color. I'm going to go back and do the yellow to whatever is under triangles so that I don't use the same thing. I'm going to use a square. Actually, okay, I did the yellow. I'm going to actually go back and I'm going to take the blue circles and I'm going to knock them down in size a little bit just so they look about the same size. So now if I black and white print this, I can tell the data. Okay, so I would recommend doing that. Okay, now everything you need to do anything on this graph is over here where let's label our horizontal axis, okay, which is not here. I'm not going to do any changes on that, but if you wanted to, you could, that's where you would do it. Okay, actually I am going to go in and I want the labels on here to be black. Okay, I want these labels to be black, so I'm going to do that. And all I'm doing is changing the auto selection. I know people like to get fancy, but black, dark is easier to read. Okay, I'm now going to go up to chart and axis title, and I will put a chart title. This is density plot for, oops, you got to be able to spell a little bit, for 3 materials. It really helps. Okay, I'm going to label my horizontal axis down here is volume. And it was in comma milliliters. Come on, Google. I'm going to do my vertical axis, which was mass in grams. And I think I missed the comma. Okay. And I can't spell materials. If you click on something you want to edit, it will automatically bring it up to where you can make your changes. Okay, I'm gonna shrink my, I don't like the, quite like it that big. So I'm gonna turn it black as well, and I'm gonna shrink title font down to about 16. Okay, now I'm labeled. I got one guy here. I'm gonna click on that. It needs to be black. I like to really make sure I can see my labels, so I'm actually gonna bold them. Okay, and make sure they're all black. Okay, now there's my graph. If I lose my chart editor, just click on the graph again and that'll get you the chart editor. I'm going to go back to my series and I did my regression lines, but what I would like, again, to apply to all series, I want a label. The label I want is the regression equation, and I want to show the R squared, which is a measure of goodness of fit. I might want to make this graph a little bigger since I just lost a little bit by doing that. And now I have a nicely labeled graph. I got a title. I got my axes labeled. I actually, on the horizontal, I would like to actually see an axis, and I don't want reverse order, I don't want a log scale. That actually might be, but I'd like to get a 0 in there, and I just have to remember where there is. That's actually the vertical axis. show axis line. Okay, and now I got it. Okay, that's going to work if I print it. Okay, with my regression equations, the R squared tells you how good they are. 1 is perfect. Looks like more variation. Again, you can see variation, but there's even variation in the yellow and a little bit in the blue. And I've changed the symbol. So now I've got a good graph. That's publication ready. Okay. All right. There you go. There's doing a graph. Okay. That was a little bit more involved, mainly because we plotted 3 different sets of data. Okay. The next thing I want to look at is if we have some data, do we really have linear data? So I will see you on a new spreadsheet to work on and a new video in just a bit. Thank you.